What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. So if you haven't been living under a rock and you've been following NBA playoffs thus far, then you've seen that Mr. Jayson Tatum, Boston Celtics forward, tore his Achilles. And anybody who knows me or maybe even been following this channel for a little minute have known that I've been kind of critical of Jayson Tatum off and on. I've never said or prescribed or subscribed to be a Tatum fan per se, but you never want to see anybody have a catastrophic injury like that. So Shams reported earlier he underwent surgery to repair a torn right Achilles tendon. They're down 3-1 right now to the Knicks, so series is over more than likely. I mean, who's to say? I mean, they could turn it around. They still have Jaylen Brown. You still have Drew. You still have Derek White, Porzingis, Horford. You still got shooters. But regardless of the fact, Tatum was the guy. Now, I mean, I know I've gone back and forth on if the Celtics was really ran by Tatum, really ran by Brown. Regardless of the fact, I can't hate on his Game 4 performance. I mean, the man, I want to say he had 36, 38, close to 40 points. Game 4. But, just to see him go out like that, that's tough. Yeah, he had 42 in 40 minutes, 42, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. What's next for Boston? I mean, you don't necessarily want to just jump into that right off the rip, but you kind of got to be realistic. I mean, an Achilles tear, it used to be, I'm old enough to know when you would pop an Achilles, if I'm not mistaken. I think that is what ended Dominique Wilkins' career. That's what ended Isaiah Thomas, the original Isaiah Thomas's career. That was really the downfall of Kobe, towards the end of the latter part of his career. Now, granted, all of those guys that I just mentioned, a lot older than Tatum. He's 27, 28 years of age, so he's going to miss next season easily, and probably part of the 26, 27 season. What does Boston do? Now, I made a well, I didn't make a video. It was from a live stream. I clipped it up, and I had some people in the comments that didn't necessarily agree with my take, but I thought that Boston could be an intriguing place for somebody like a Cooper Flag. And I said it in a joking manner, just like Cooper Flag is, come on, let's keep it a buck. Cooper Flag is an anomaly when it comes to hooping. You don't see too many guys that look like him that can do what he do. And historically speaking, Boston tends to like those types of stars, and Cooper Flag is going to be a star in this league. Excuse me, I'm a little, so bear with me. But if you've seen it, also Dallas, they finessed the number 1 pick. Shout out to Nico Harrison. He's able to live a little bit longer here in the city of Dallas. Well, with that being said, would Dallas be intrigued in a potential trade? And I've also seen Dallas, and not to convolute this video with what Dallas is going to do. I can make another video on that, giving my take of what Dallas should potentially do with the number 1 pick. But Boston, if I'm Boston, I might make a phone call. If I'm the GM of Boston, that's Brad Stevens, right? If I'm Brad Stevens, I think I'm going to make a phone call to Nico, and I'm just going to ask him, hey, man, what are you doing with that number 1 pick? would you want a Jaylen Brown, a package including Jaylen Brown? I don't know if Jaylen Brown by himself would be enough, but a package of Jaylen Brown, I don't know, maybe Drew. I know Drew and Porzingis, those guys, they're going to have to figure out what they're going to do with those guys moving forward. Would you package those guys up and maybe try to make a play for the number 1 pick and get Cooper for the city of Boston? I mean, I don't know. You're going to be without Tatum. Another thing could be, now that Tatum is going to be, rehabbing for the next year and so, this naturally slides Jaylen Brown into the number 1 position. He's the number 1 guy. So everybody who's been, and I've been one of those guys, everybody who's been saying Jaylen Brown is the number 1 option, he's the number 1 option. You look at their finals run last season, he won the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. Get to the finals, he wins the finals MVP, champion. He's the man, right? Okay, well, now he's going to have to prove that shit. He's going to have to prove it. Tatum's hurt. So now this is your team. Now, a couple things could happen here. They could mess around and have a really, really good season next year without Tatum. And there's no drop-offs, no nothing. Now, I don't know what is exactly what their roster is going to look like come this offseason. We could very well find out, when their offseason starts, if it starts tomorrow. Let's see, depending. I think I'll go ahead and upload this video tonight, maybe. If it starts tomorrow, I don't know exactly what their free agency is going to look like, but they can have a really dynamic season next year. And you'll say, well, damn, they didn't seem to really fall off too much, and they don't have Jayson Tatum. So, okay, when Tatum is healthy, what do you do with Tatum? If you're Boston, do you think of moving off of Tatum? If you say, okay, well, we've gone a year and some change without Tatum, we're still playing at a high level. We still have talent here that we can put a contending team on the floor without Tatum. Do we look to move him, get some pieces, not necessarily move him for another one piece. You move him for pieces. Put him around Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown is quintessentially your number 1 guy now. I mean, you got to think about it. There's $200-300 million players on this squad. So, or they could have a really piss poor season next year, and it could really solidify the fact that Jayson Tatum was actually the guy. Jaylen Brown was a really, really good Robin. And you can say, okay, well, we can't do this without Jayson. And we might even be able to afford moving on from Jaylen, because we know when Jayson comes back, we can put pieces around him, and we know that we can contend because we contended when he was here. Now he's gone. We're not contending. So when he's back and he's healthy, 100% healthy, even with the Achilles, he can still bounce back and still be. He's not an above the rim type of player, so he can come back and still be himself. We probably can move off of Jaylen and the contract that we've given him. And really looking at the dynamic of those two, I can see Jaylen being the one that's moved. And I think that's what I mentioned in the video that I made prior to, or in the live stream prior to, was Jaylen, not Jayson, being packaged. This is, way before Jayson's injury. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting for Boston, but it sucks that their season may end because of an injury. I mean, they were in the game. If you watch Game 4, they were in the game. They could have very well, snuck that game out. I don't know. We're talking about a series that's 2-2 going back to Boston. But New York being up 3-1, I don't know. The Celtics, they probably, they might just off of emotion get Game 5, but Game 6 back in the Garden, I don't know. It might be wraps. But it just sucks. Prayers up for Jayson that he's able to make a speedy recovery and recover to 100% and still have a long lasting career, because he's still young, hella young. The fact that he's been able to accomplish what he's accomplished thus far in his career at the age of 27, he ain't really even sniffed his prime yet. So, salute to Jayson Tatum, and salute to the Celtics. Even though I'm not really a fan of their game, all of the threes they shoot, but they've been winning, and they got a chip to show for it. I don't know, but let me know what you think about the Jayson Tatum situation in the comments below. I appreciate you for watching the video. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button on your way out the door. And if you like the video, hit the thumbs up. See you on the next one.